Welcome to Good for Bitcoin, a weekly show recorded live every Friday where we recap the top events of the week and talk about everything that is good for Bitcoin. If it's built on Bitcoin, then it's good for Bitcoin. Let's get started.
Content shared on this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It does not constitute financial, investment, or legal advice. The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guests and do not reflect the official policy or position of any other agency, organization, or company. We encourage you to conduct your own research and consult with a qualified professional before making any financial decisions.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Good for Bitcoin. We are live on goodforbitcoin.com. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in week over week. And we are officially out of extreme fear, and we have moved up to just plain fear. So things are looking up this week. Kate, how was your week?
I had no fear. I was feeling like vibes were good.
I agree with you. I feel like it was kind of like a slower news week, but all the news that came out was all really good, is what
that's
it
a
felt
thing.
like for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm with you on the 4 week cycle, the 4 year cycle. You know, I kind of lost faith there for a little bit, but honestly, I'm like, yeah, I don't think it's gone, and I just think that we're operating in that right now. And I've seen some. I think Adam Back had like a price prediction for like end of 2028. Bitcoin at like 1 million or something, or 500,000, and that aligns, you know.
We'll see. Yeah, I mean, the difference between 500,000 and 1 million is quite a bit, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are the highest that we've ever been on the fear and greed chart since January. So things are looking up, at least on the timeline. Elsewhere, I guess, just outside of Bitcoin, just in crypto in general. But lots to talk about this week. Got to start, of course, with all of the public company news. Strategy bought 34,164 BTC. This was their largest purchase since November of 2024, and their third largest buy ever, which is crazy. They now hold 815,000, and they have overtaken BlackRock, their IBIT ETF in Bitcoin holdings. So Strategy now holds more Bitcoin than all of BlackRock's ETF clients combined, which is pretty crazy.
That's wild. Considering one we have on here is BlackRock scooped up 900 million in Bitcoin through its iShares Bitcoin ETF trust. So it's hard to like comprehend the number, I think, sometimes. Just like how much more ahead Strategy is than everyone else.
It's pretty crazy that, yes, Saylor buys like more Bitcoin each day than I will probably ever be able to buy in my entire lifetime. It's pretty nuts. Yeah. Save some for us, please.
No, he had no AI images on the timeline this week, though.
Oh, that's pretty bearish, actually.
Factor that into the fear.
It's not good.
Fear and greed.
Yeah. I saw another thing that they are also now proposing semi-monthly dividends of STRC, which they say will help stabilize their price. I guess like every month whenever they pay dividends, like everyone just like sells it after the dividends go. So I think they're just trying to like kind of stabilize that a little bit, which makes sense, I guess.
Cool. All right. Well, then we have Capital B. They bought 12 Bitcoin, so they now hold 2,937 in total.
Empery Digital sold 20 BTC. Don't think we have talked about them on the show before, but they have actually been selling since March, about 25% of their total. So they now hold less than 2,914 BTC.
Very cool. And then we have Morgan Stanley. They bought just a tiny little bit of 10 million. That's nothing crazy for a bank this size, but still something to shout out.
Yep. And you already mentioned BlackRock scooped up 900 million. So the banks are buying, but not as fast as Saylor, I guess. Okay, we have a lot to get into. If you missed it yesterday, we actually published a bonus episode. We interviewed Andrea from Allbridge, and that was a really great conversation. A lot of Stacks news this week as well that we're going to get into. But one of those pieces of news was that USDC is now on, or excuse me, Allbridge now supports Stacks through Allbridge Core, so you can now bridge USDC from 16 other chains, I believe that is the
I think
number.
it's 16 now. Yeah.
To and from Stacks. And what's really cool is it's both USDC and USDT
Yeah.
from other chains. So
Yep.
making it a lot easier to get into the Stacks ecosystem and out of the Stacks ecosystem, right? It's good to have liquidity both ways. So really great convo. For those that missed it yesterday, go check it out. It's on the website. But I think we'll be posting some clips of that throughout the week, next week. Yeah, one of the things that we talked about on the conversation yesterday was this one that we didn't talk about last week, but this one's big. So 2026, there is the biggest crypto exploit that has happened so far this year. $292 million was drained from Kelp DAO, and with wrapped ether stranded across 20 different chains. And I didn't get a chance to like do some bullet points on this, but there was a lot of conversation on the aftermath of this hack, this Kelp DAO hack. Basically caused, I think Arbitrum was one of the main ones that was like causing a lot of controversy because their like governing body or something ended up freezing a bunch of like the wrapped ETH that was on their chain, which like calls into, you know, decentralization into question. If one entity or one governing body can freeze, you know, a bunch of assets like that, is that chain like actually decentralized and worth using? So that was a conversation that we got into. You know, are people, because they also support Arbitrum on Allbridge, you know, are we seeing a lot of people maybe moving away from Allbridge, or away from Arbitrum, you know, and moving to other chains? So that was interesting combo there as well.
Yeah, and I mean, like when you look at sort of like what the exploit is about, it's like either attacking infrastructure, right? And that's when like you realize who's decentralized and who's not. And it pulls you into this question, like if there's only one sort of body maintaining a bridge or some kind of like custodial feature, like why wouldn't you use a centralized entity that like at least has insurance
Yeah.
for when things like this happen? And you know, it feels like it just like keeps happening, like, you know, things like just keep getting exposed like this. And I don't know, it's just like so important to have security and transparency as the forefront, and to understand, you know, who's verifying, who's a node maintainer, like all of these things. Because yeah, if the Lazarus group has their eyes on you, they're coming for you.
Yeah. It's kind of the philosophy that I've been having like on my job search also. Like I'm looking, you know, ideally I want to work for a Bitcoin company, right? But like if it's not like a Bitcoin company, I would almost rather work for like a centralized, you know, exchange, centralized onboarding provider, like some place like that, versus like some like Ethereum company. Like that's just kind of like where my head's at. So kind of interesting that, you know, it's either like you have the full decentralization through like Bitcoin, or like might as well just use CeFi.
I'm with you. Yeah, at least they have some insurance if something goes wrong. So
Yep. Somebody to blame.
Yep. All right. Then we have some big news on the Hermetica front. This one, they had like two big announcements that came out from them. So on Monday, they announced that USDH, which is their yield-bearing stablecoin, is earning from STRC. So that's pretty cool. They also got an endorsement by Sailor on the timeline, which is,
I saw your
awesome.
tweet about that. It's so cool.
I know, it's so cool. It's just like, you know, at least like Hermetica Stacks like is on the map at least there. So I feel like that's just such a huge endorsement to have. And then on Tuesday, they launched HPTC, which is also earning from STRC and also from basis trades, and then dual stacking on Stacks. So pretty exciting stuff for them. I know that they've been like working on this for a very long time. So HPTC, it acts like a bridge Bitcoin. So it's you putting your native Bitcoin in and you're getting native Bitcoin out, and the HBTC is basically like earning the yield from all these different strategies for you. So by Wednesday, they had 25 additional Bitcoin flowing in, and they're at their 50 Bitcoin cap right now. And I think they're keeping it here, just testing it out, seeing how it works. But I imagine big things for this product. And one thing I've always appreciated about Jakob is just how he preaches transparency, and you can just tell that he's a Bitcoiner, and he used to work at Kraken, and he talks about security so much, and I just think that is like very much exemplified in the products that they build. So I'm super excited for their team, and I would imagine there's a lot more to come for this.
Yeah, I think it's super cool. I put in a little bit of Bitcoin into HBTC before the cap was full. Super easy experience. I think the worst part was that because I was bridging in L1 Bitcoin, I had to wait like 20 minutes because the blocks were a little bit slow. But once it actually cleared on the blockchain, it was super smooth, and you can just go on their dashboard and you can see that it's on there. So they make it really easy. I was talking with Jakob the other day and trying to get him on the show. And we have, Bitcoin Vegas is next week, and then is it Consensus Miami? Something in Miami?
Yes, the following week.
Consensus Miami the following week. So he's going to be traveling, but we're going to try to get him on the show once he's done doing his rounds of traveling to talk a little bit more about that, because STRC plus like Bitcoin yield on chain, like that's this show. So it's going to be a really cool convo, and looking forward to that. But it's pretty cool. So congrats to the team at Hermetica on the launch, reaching that cap. And I also think like it's really cool because when I was less likely to like give this type of advice earlier, but like I wouldn't personally consider like going from like L1 BTC to HBTC like a swap. I would consider that like a bridge, like for tax purposes. Like personally, that's how I'm thinking about it. So it's really cool that I have the opportunity to like bring some of my Bitcoin, into this kind of vehicle and earn a little bit of yield without having to worry about like the taxable, consequences of that. So I'm enjoying it so far. It's only been a couple of days, but we'll have to, track that and see what the APYs end up being like next week once things have stabilized a little bit.
Yeah, that'll be good. Because right now I think they're around 5, maybe a little over 5% for HBTC, and I think almost 7% for USDH. But obviously those vary. Those are not fixed rates by any means. So it'll be good to see once things stabilize, like you said, how that plays out. But pretty cool stuff.
A couple small ones. I saw that Starknet, they dropped their Shinobi upgrade, which adds the infrastructure for private transactions on their network, Starknet. They're using Starks, which is a type of zero-knowledge proof. And one quote from their tweet said, "In simple terms, you can now prove a transaction is valid without exposing the full balance sheet or activity behind it." So what if we, bring something like, zero-knowledge proofs to like a Bitcoin L2 that allows you to, transact privately, but obviously still, benefiting from Bitcoin. I think like that's kind of the dream. So really cool to see, Starknet's still like a little bit more kind of Ethereum coded, I think, but still cool to see, some ZK news, which I know you're always very excited by.
I'm always sending him like, do you want to work for Zcash?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think like privacy tech is cool. So I don't always like fully understand how it's happening, but I just think that like I don't know. I feel like I just support people who, want to build things that allow us to enable privacy if we want to. Because I just feel like we live in a world where we don't have a lot of privacy.
Yeah.
But
if you ask me, like, I feel like I've been kind of out of the privacy convo for a few years. Like back when like RGB was like a really hot topic, when we were covering that at Trust Machines a lot. Like I could probably back then I could have told you the difference between like Starks and Snarks and these different like types of zero knowledge proofs. Like I don't really remember the differences these days, but should probably look back into that because I'm sure it's still very relevant info. But yeah, there's certainly a lot of different ways to do zero knowledge proofs, I guess. So interesting to see just how different chains and networks are implementing it.
Yep.
In more privacy news, Bitcoin Core version 31 was released, and this one's pretty cool. So the most notable improvement is privacy related, although it's not like zero knowledge. But if you're running a node, you can basically enable this private broadcast flag, which will only broadcast your transaction on the Tor or I2P networks. Basically, what this means is that your IP address, thus your location, is not known to the recipients if you're running your own node and you're sending Bitcoin through like your own node. So the originator sends, and also if you send two otherwise unrelated transactions, they won't be linkable because a separate connection is used for broadcasting each transaction. So, you can still see that like, oh, this wallet address sent to this amount of Bitcoin, but you won't be able to see like, oh, this node broadcasted this transaction from this location. So pretty cool update there.
Nice.
Feel like most of the time Bitcoin Core updates are not like the most exciting.
Flashy.
It's usually just like small little fixes here and there just to optimize things. But I thought this was a kind of a larger one that seemed pretty interesting, so worth noting.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
And then we have some news out of the Coinbase circle.
Yeah, you added some more information in here, so I'm curious your thoughts. But the Coinbase they have their own quantum advisory council, and they published this paper on quantum computing and blockchain. And I didn't get a chance to read through it this week, but I'm curious if you did, and what you thought about it.
I didn't read through it, but it kind of just seems like, again, like they're kind of like sounding the alarm on what's coming and, like what needs to be built. And the board is pretty legit, the people that are like researching and backing it. So I feel like we've talked about it before, but it's like Stanford and Ethereum Foundation and some other big names are in there. But then like I just looked at like what the Bitcoin core devs have done so far, and we've covered it quite a bit. So I just thought it'd be like good to touch on. So yeah, I found out like since December there's been more than 5 like serious post-quantum proposals. I'm not going to pronounce all of them because I simply can't. And the acronyms are just so tough sometimes. Yeah. But I feel like some of the most notable ones, like BIP 360, this was the pay to Merkle route, which removes public keys from being permanently on chain. And a company called BTQ Technologies like already implemented it on testnet. There's been proposals for different opcode changes, and then there was the BIP 361 one that we covered that was pretty controversial. Basically, it would just freeze coins that didn't migrate to quantum safe addresses. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting that like there's 17 named researchers that are like actively working on this right now. So, Coinbase is saying like we need to start preparing, and we have a lot of people sounding the alarm, and the devs are working. And like you said, they're quiet and they're not always flashy, but it's not like there's been no movement, I guess, towards finding solutions on this topic.
Yeah, I think Nick Carter is one of the people that was like super loud on how quiet kind of the devs were when it comes to like being quantum prepared, because when you look at kind of public forums and like the bit devs or the whatever the talk kind of forum is that's like private, the mailing list, like there wasn't a lot of information in there. But then meanwhile you had like certain like devs or core maintainers that were coming out saying like, oh no, we actually are having these conversations, but the question was like where. So I guess now it's certainly like in the past like couple of months, especially with this Google paper that has come out, there's been a lot more conversations about it, I feel like, publicly, which is great. So hopefully Bitcoin will be prepared and fully implemented by the time we get to this quantum break that happens. But yeah, I mean, certainly Coinbase, Google has like a huge like quantum computing, arm, like all of these huge companies are sounding the alarm, which
Yeah.
is making it feel more urgent. And it seems like that urgency is being, acted on, which is good.
Yeah. I'm just laughing at this next one that we're going to talk about.
So the question is, was Satoshi found? There's this new documentary, Finding Satoshi, dropped yesterday on Thursday. And I guess it claims that Satoshi was actually two people. It was Hal Finney and Len Sassaman. And I think it's super interesting. I haven't had the chance to watch it yet. I was going to try to do it over the weekend.
Yeah.
You do have to pay for it. It's not like a free, documentary or anything. Because the other one was like on HBO. So if you had like HBO Max, you could watch it. But anyway, I think it's super interesting. That there is this claim of two people. I think a lot of people in the past have like discredited it from just being only Hal, because there was like, they were matching up like, but before Hal had ALS, he was like a big runner. So he was in like these marathon runs, and they were like matching up like the timestamps, and would see that like, oh, Satoshi posted this, post on the Bitcoin forum at the same time that like Hal was like actively in a race. So like it couldn't be Hal. So there's like certain things like that, that people were discrediting. I have heard just like in circles talking, with like certain like kind of larger Bitcoin people connections that I have, that like a couple like pretty big people did like that I've talked to have like basically said that they thought it was Len. And when the other documentary that came out a few months ago, I forget the name of that one. The one that suggested that it was Peter Todd.
Yeah.
Before that happened, all the Polymarket stuff was pointing to it being Len before it like way switched over the other way to, it being, Peter Todd, which I don't think like a lot of people didn't believe that was actually true. But yeah, there was like a couple like interesting things, with like Len also, it was actually just the other day too, that it was like the 15th anniversary or something of like the last post that's like Satoshi had ever made on the Bitcoin forum. And then it was like maybe a few weeks or like a few months after that last post was when Len Sassaman, he committed suicide. So we have Hal and Len, they're both no longer living. I think that is probably the best case scenario, that Satoshi isn't alive anymore. And those coins truly are, not going to move. And, there's a little bit of a comfort there, I guess, that, that is the case. I don't know. I have to watch the thing over the weekend, and maybe we can both watch it and we can come back with our thoughts next week. But yeah, I think, if that truly was true, and it was like both Hal and Len, that were, the creators behind Bitcoin, I feel like that would be like a nice conclusion. And I've heard a lot of people on the timeline that have watched it have said that it was like just really well done, and it wasn't like some big like mystery arc, that some of the other ones did. It like honored them well. So we'll see. If that actually ends up being very true or not. Just 2 weeks ago, there was like, that also huge investigative report that said that it was Adam Back. So who knows? Who knows really?
I know.
But yeah, super interesting that, there's like this claim that it was actually like both of them, and not just one or the other.
That's cool. I think I would love to watch it. I think that would be, honestly, like, I tend to just not watch a lot of them because I like read the reviews and people are like, yeah, this is kind of like, this is a waste of time. But I've seen a lot of people basically claiming like this was really well done, and it could be worth it. So I'll check it out.
Yeah. Just some quick headlines to get through. So you added this one in here, and I saw it too.
Yeah.
I ended up enabling it and then just like disabling it because I was just like, I don't know, not super useful. But X now has the ability, to add Bitcoin and crypto specific content on their timeline. Are you using this?
No, I'm not. Yeah, I don't even know how to enable it. I just thought it was like interesting, but how did that work for you?
It basically
Is it like a
like when
setting?
you're yeah, when you're in the app, maybe your Twitter app hasn't or your X app hasn't updated. Like you have,
Yeah.
your for you and then you have following
Yeah.
and then there's like
Yeah.
another plus icon and you can like add like a third feed or like a fourth feed. And like one of those feeds can be crypto or Bitcoin or something like that.
Oh, okay. Yes,
But
I do
for
see it
me,
now.
like, I mean, I only really use X for like Bitcoin and crypto stuff.
Same
So
here.
it wasn't really that different than like my for you,
Yeah.
timeline. So for me, it wasn't super useful. But I guess if you're, a member of multiple niche, communities, Bitcoin Twitter and crypto Twitter and I don't know, some other random thing, cooking Twitter or something. Maybe it's
That's
nice
the place I
to be
want to
able to
be.
separate them. Yeah.
It's funny. Hey, it's cool.
Yeah. Also saw that this morning, Bitkey started to tease maybe something new. When you go to their website right now, it just has a date of I think the 27th. So we shouldn't have to wait too long. But the Bitkey, the actual Bitkey, launched in March 2024. So it's been over 2 years on the Bitkey, and in hardware, the hardware world, 2 years can be a long time. So
Yeah,
maybe they're coming out with a Bitkey too. We'll see.
that would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about this one last week. Justin's son, he's suing World Liberty Financial. So last week we were talking about this. I think Sun invested like $45 million into World Liberty Financial. This is like the Trump family crypto project. And he was basically saying that they secretly froze his funds, and then just like took away his voting rights and ability to use the tokens, and basically is going after them now because yeah, he claims it was fraud. But I guess he's like still supportive of the family and that he's still pro Trump and everything. He's just saying like the World Liberty Financial Group is fraudulent. So
Yeah, I
we'll
think he's just trying
see.
to like cover his ass a little bit and
Yeah,
like
on both sides. Yeah.
yeah, like multiple times like in his tweet he's like I've always been and remain an ardent supporter of Trump and his
Yeah.
administration's efforts and blah blah blah. This lawsuit doesn't change how I feel about him.
Yeah.
Um uh, kissing his ass a little bit. I think,
Yeah, big time. He's like, give me
but
back my
yeah.
45 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we covered it last week, but they had like kind of like the lending borrowing scheme where they were like printing
Mhm.
their own tokens, borrowing against them, and just not a good DeFi incentive loop.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that show ended up performing pretty well. That was like one of our higher shows over the past
nice.
few months. People were really interested in that topic of World Liberty, issuing a lot of their own token to take out a loan.
Yeah,
You don't love to see it.
you don't.
Um, so we talked about this also with some. Yeah, we did talk about this with first Iran was looking for USDT or some stable coins, right? And then it was reported that they were looking for Bitcoin. So the other day, Tether froze $344 million in USDT, and a lot of people were speculating like, where did that money come from? Today, I guess there was an article or a headline from CNN saying that those holdings were actually linked to Iran. So we tried to warn Iran about not taking, stable coins that they could get frozen, and
Yeah.
this is what happened. So
This is what
should have listened to the show.
And then, so the Admiral of the U.S. Air Force, Samuel Paparo, I guess he was telling lawmakers that the military operates a Bitcoin node and is running operational tests to secure and protect networks using the Bitcoin protocol. So yeah, I saw this on the timeline. It went pretty viral. Yeah, it's cool. Just like I guess a legitimate signal that the government is, I don't know if to call it protecting Bitcoin. Actually, anything with like the military, like you just don't really know what's going on, but it's like actively experimenting with the network for resilience and stuff like that. So it's cool to see.
I'm sure the U.S. is also, doing tests in terms of like quantum resistance, and like
For sure.
that's also something that they're paying attention to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the next one that I thought was pretty interesting is overseas in Russia. So their state Duma officially recognizes crypto as property, but they still ban it as like everyday usage. So they're going to be recognizing most likely Bitcoin and Ethereum first, and it will just be recognized as property under Russian law. But like using it to pay for goods, services, salaries, like everyday transactions is still illegal. But yeah, they passed this into law this week, so I don't really know what that means for the Russian people. I guess you can just hold it and they can't do anything, but yeah.
Interesting. So like yeah,
Russian
just
Duma.
store of value maybe, but you can't
Yeah.
like not a medium of exchange.
Pretty much, yeah, exactly.
Okay, well I think that wraps it up for the week. Again, kind of a short week, but yeah, everything I think there's some good stuff happening on the
Yep.
timeline. Good stuff happening in the Stacks ecosystem.
Yep.
Love to see that. And yeah, we will see y'all next week. Thank you for tuning in. You can go to goodforbitcoin.com to check out all of our episodes there. And yeah, don't forget to go and check out our episode that we posted yesterday with Andre from Albridge. That was a good combo. And yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will see you all next week.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.